Have you heard this opinion that the economic sanctions that the international community has placed on Russia are not working? Do you consider it's true? Well, after hearing of the latest economic sanctions from both the EU and the USA, you will reconsider, because the 14th sanctions package promises to be the most impactful so far, as of yet. It actually could turn out to be the last straw that will break Putin's back. And in this live stream, I will teach of these latest sanctions and will inform you what might happen in Russia soon, courtesy of the 14th package. Let's talk about it. Howdy, howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, no propaganda, BS or lies here, only truth, common sense, and logic, and some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. Before I start, please be informed that today's live stream will consist of 3 parts, as usual. The message, then the discussion and sharing of opinions in the live stream chat, and a prayer at the end. 2 things I want to mention before I start. First things first. Well, first, the title of today's live stream is not a clickbait. I truly think that these new sanctions will be devastating for Russia in many ways. And second, I don't want to give you a false impression that this is the real sanctions and everything else before wasn't. The sanctions in the past have also worked. Heck, this is the sanctions package number 14 after all. Some sanctions in the past were more effective and some were less effective, but they all have worked, and in 2 years their cumulative effect has brought Russia onto its knees economically. And it's exactly where it's standing right now, on its knees. Make no mistake about it. The Titanic is full of water, it's already submerged, and it's going down. It's just the latest sanctions are the biggest blow to the country's economy at this point so far. That's out of the way, and let's talk about the sanctions themselves. What are they? Recently, there are 2 types of sanctions have been placed on Russia: the EU sanctions and the American sanctions, the USA sanctions. Now, I'll start with the EU sanctions. At first, I'll tell you what the sanctions are about, and then I will tell you why I think they are crucial. So, the European sanctions. They include a ban on new investments in liquefied natural gas industry. The European Union prohibits new investments as well as supply of goods, technologies and services required to complete LNG projects, liquefied natural gas, that are already under construction in Russia. We're talking about such projects as Arctic LNG 2 and Murmansk LNG, which are implemented by Russian LNG monopolist called Novatek. These 2 projects were Russia's hope for future natural gas trade, the only flexible way to export its natural gas, not using the pipelines that it cannot use any longer. And now that hope is dead. So you understand how deadly this sanction is. Okay, one day before the announcement of the 14th package of the sanctions, the Chinese company called Wisan New Energies, the supplier of all liquefied natural gas technology for the Arctic LNG 2 project, stopped working in Russia. They said, we're just pulling out and that's it. Now, this project will remain unfinished for a very long time. So no new LNG ports in Russia, and I'll talk more about it when I'll explain the American sanctions as well. So the next, a ban on the transit of Russian liquefied natural gas through the European Union. It is now prohibited to use the European Union infrastructure to transport Russian liquefied natural gas to other countries. This measure will come into force in the spring of 2022 and will affect the transshipment both to other vessels and ashore. Thus, the European Union intends to reduce Russia's revenues from re-export of liquefied natural gas to third countries, mainly Asian ones. See, that's how the trade worked before. Russian liquefied natural gas ports are located in the far north of Russia. It's always cold and icy and snowy there. And there are special icebreaker ships used. And the liquefied natural gas is loaded onto those ships and shipped into European ports, special LNG ports, where they were transferred to different ships, not icebreakers, and sent to Asia. That is no more. The next, restrictions for ships. Naval vessels are now prohibited from entering European ports if they have been spotted in the transportation of military equipment for Russia, or transportation of stolen Ukrainian grain, or support for the Russian energy industry. For example, if such vessels were engaged in the delivery of components for Russian LNG projects, or transshipment of Russian LNG, or transportation of Russian oil to circumvent previously imposed sanctions. The next, a ban on transactions with credit and financial institutions that participate in transactions for the Russian military-industrial complex. European companies are prohibited from conducting transactions with such organizations, including crypto asset providers, if they are established outside the European Union and facilitate transactions that support Russian military-industrial complex. That's pretty big. The next, ban on the European companies using the financial messaging system, the FPS. European companies operating outside of Russia will not be able to connect to the FPS, the Russian equivalent of SWIFT, which was developed by the Russia's central bank. The ban also applies to other similar specialized financial messaging services. More sanctions, more bad news for Russian financial sector. Now, these that I just read you, the most important, the most impactful sanctions. There are others too, such as stricter control over the re-export of sanctioned goods, absolute ban on charter flights into the European Union for both individuals and companies, significant restriction on cargo transportation, restrictions on import of Russian helium into the EU, and some more. Also, the European Union has banned the export of a number of goods that can be used in military production process in Russia. Among them are chemical raw materials, including manganese ores and rare metal ores, plastic, excavators, monitors, electrical equipment, certain types of machines, and specialized vehicles. The new package of European sanctions against Russia also includes 68 individuals and 46 companies. That's on top that was included, or whoever was included before. Perhaps the most significant measure on the 14th package of the European Union sanctions is the restrictions related to Russian liquefied natural gas. The investments into the infrastructure, the technology, and the transit. Novatek, that's the only company, the monopolist in Russia, that deals with liquefied natural gas. And Gazprom, that's Russia's another monopolist, only pipeline gas company. So both Novatek and Gazprom will still be able to sell gas to European consumers, but they will not be able to use European ports to transit natural gas to Asian countries. In 2023, I'll just give you a few numbers. Russia was fourth largest exporter of liquefied natural gas in the world. It exported 32.3 million tons of liquefied natural gas. Only the United States, Qatar, and Australia sold more to foreign markets. Of this volume, 51 was received by Europe and 48 by Asia. Russia regularly transports LNG into European ports, mainly gas produced at the Yamal LNG and Partavaya LNG plants. Last year, a total of 21.4 million tons of liquefied natural gas were exported from those plants, of which 16% were transshipped from ship to ship. So what basically it means, Russia has lost half of the export of liquefied natural gas. It cannot transport anywhere, it cannot sell anywhere except for Europe. That's a huge blow to Russian economy, huge, because liquefied natural gas was the pretty much only medium was not affected by foreign sanctions until now. All in all, it's bad, pretty darn bad, but wait, it gets even worse. Now, I come to the Americans. The USA has placed their sanctions, its sanctions upon Russia. The American sanctions include, of course, you've heard of it by now, Moscow Currency Exchange, Mors Birja, and the National Clearing Center, both under sanctions now. The exchange rate of Russian ruble to American dollar and European euro is in hiatus. Absolute hiatus. It's a blow to Russian importers. In general, it's fairly bad for the Russian economy overall. I did review this sanction in detail. I believe it was 13th of June. I'm going to put a link right here. Check it out. So, overall, it's a big blow, okay? Russian ruble is not a fiat currency any longer. Russian central bank sets the exchange rate, and now it's completely artificial. Russian importers are going to be crying about that. Well, the Americans have also placed the sanctions for Russian liquefied gas, same as the Europeans. All future Novatek projects are included in the sanction list, including both Murmansk LNG, OB LNG planned for commencing in very near future. They're almost built. Arctic LNG 1 and Arctic LNG 3 planned for commencement in more distant future. Rusgaz Добыча, that's another company, has been added to the sanctions list. That in part, that is a joint venture with the Gazprom-Ruschim alliance. Well, the names don't tell you much, but there's big Russian natural gas extractors and exporters, okay? So both these companies are building the largest processing and liquefaction plant in Russia in a place called Ust-Luga. And it's worth almost 3 trillion rubles, around $33 billion. The launch of the first stage was planned for 2026. Well, guess what? There will be no launch of Ust-Luga project. $33 billion. Also, complete ban on the supply of IT consultancy and design services, as well as IT support services and cloud-based services for enterprise management software and manufacturing software. Did you understand what I just said? What does it mean? Software for industrial processes and enterprise management, including CAD systems, enterprise resource planning systems, ERP, customer management and interaction systems, CRM, and business intelligence, BI systems, are now banned for sale to Russia. You cannot sell, you cannot, if you already sold it in the past, you cannot maintain it. This spells disaster for most Russian enterprises that are using American-designed enterprise management systems. And guess what? Such Russian systems, they simply do not exist. I know. This is insane. It gets better. Also, inclusion of more than 30 individuals and over 200 legal entities, companies into the sanctions list. That's what Americans have brought as a gift to Russia, so to speak. Sanctions were imposed on the National Clearing Center, like I mentioned, the Moscow Currency Exchange, the Sogas Insurance Company, one of the largest insurance companies in Russia, the Arctic LNG 1, Arctic LNG 3 projects, Gazprom Invest, and 294 other companies. And the worst, in my humble opinion, is the sanctions. I call them secondary financial sanctions, okay? They concern everyone in Russia and outside Russia in the world. Now, any financial institution transacting with Russian companies suspected being a part of the military-industrial complex or supplying services, goods, materials, components to companies that are part of Russia's military-industrial complex can be hit directly with the U.S. sanctions. Now, I will explain. Okay, let's say I'm a company in China and I'm a producer of something, and a company from, let's say, Kyrgyzstan comes to me and says, "Well, would like to buy this component, I don't know, a chip or something, whatever." And they turn around and they sell it to a company in Uzbekistan. And the company in Uzbekistan turns around and sells it to a company in Perm, Russia, a place where lots of war factories are located. Or perhaps they don't turn around and sell, but all these companies in Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan and Armenia and other countries, perhaps even in Colombia, it doesn't matter. There's a chain of companies is set up by the Russian military plant, by its representatives, with one purpose: to buy something in China, to circumvent the sanctions and sell it to Russia, so it makes its way into the war factory in Perm. So, and I'm just taking Perm as example, okay? It's a city. If that happens, all the banks that are part of that transaction, part of that chain, can be placed under American sanctions, okay? And that is huge. Now, you know what happened recently? Americans placed their sanctions on June 12th, and the Europeans a couple days later. Why is this so terrible? Why this package, number 14, why American sanctions are worse than older sanctions placed on Russia? Like I said, there have been 13 sanction packages already, and they all have been working. Now, imagine 13 packages, different kinds of sanctions. Right now, Russia is the most sanctioned country, no, not in the world, but in the history of humankind. Over 10,000 sanctions. I don't even know. I don't think that anyone knows exactly how many sanctions there are, but over 10,000. Think about it. It's huge. And they all work. Some are tiny and some are big, and they all work, and they are having cumulative effect. Judge for yourself. This is what we have in Russia now, in June 2024. It's not in the near future. It's not coming to Russia. It's not around the corner. It is now. Now, inflation is very high, At this point, it has reached 8.5% for 2024, and it's on the rise. Gasoline and diesel production, diesel fuel production, has been greatly reduced, resulting in smaller supply and higher prices. Russia's savings account, the fund of national well-being, is nearly dry. Not much left to spend, no more reserves. Russian ruble is not fiat currency any longer. The exchange rate is artificially set by the central bank, and that is not good. That's back into the USSR scenario. That's pretty bad for certain categories of businesses. It makes their work so less reliable, so much riskier, and so much more expensive. The central bank is set to significantly raise already insanely high key interest rate. We will see 18% in July. Currently, Russia is at the place number 3 in the world for the key interest rate of central banks, but it's going up. The war economy growth, and I remind you, that's the only growth seen in the last 2 years in Russia. The war economy was growing and the civil economy was dropping, declining. So the war economy growth has stopped. No more reserves left. Agriculture industry is in trouble due to 3 problems. Weather. Russia has seen very odd weather. First, very cold snow and frost in May. That usually doesn't happen. And then drought right now, incredible drought. So different experts estimate that from 30% to 50% of crops, of harvest that is coming up has been lost already. So second problem is shortage of people. Is simply not enough people to work in agriculture. Those who did before, they're fighting in Ukraine, or they are already dead. And the problem number 3, foreign machinery and spare parts are not available in Russia anymore. There are shortages. Then the next problem is the state is trying to borrow from people and companies like crazy and unsuccessfully. It's trying to sell its securities because it needs more money, but it cannot do that. And I will cover that in the future streams that are coming up. Next, the real estate bubble has been blown up and it's starting to burst. The official start of the big burst is just around the corner, July 1st, because the state subsidized mortgages will be gone. They stop July 1st. We will see hiatus in the real estate. Well, we're seeing it now. The volume of freight transported in Russia has been steadily declining in the past months. Moving on, the unemployment is catastrophical, 2.8%, with over 3 million Russians have already fled Russia, and they keep on leaving. There will be more in the future. On top of that, the European Union and the United States have slapped on the new sanctions upon Russia. And you see, what I just told you, again, I want to emphasize, it's not around the corner, it's not coming tomorrow, it's not, we're going to see that very soon type of thing scenario. It is now. We are seeing it in Russia now. And now the sanctions. And these sanctions are different. They're not, quite a few sanctions that have been placed on Russia. In Russia, they're called sectorial, for the sector, for the industry. For example, this particular sanction targets a certain industry. That's not the case. These sanctions, they are all-inclusive, so to speak. They affect all companies in Russia and all people directly and indirectly. And they also aim at the foundation, one of the foundations at least, the natural gas financial transactions and IT infrastructure. This is pretty much all Russia has left. And that's on top of the catastrophe that already is happening. And I think this is deadly. Is this just me thinking that way? Is this perhaps I'm crazy? Perhaps I'm overexcited. Perhaps I overestimate the strength of the sanctions that have been put on Russia. Well, let's look at the officials. Well, not just at the officials. Let's look at Russian leadership. Let's look at the top guys. Let's look at Putin and let's look at Medvedev and, the state senators and so forth. What's happening? Recently, Putin has offered his peace plan, well, so-called peace plan. It's not really a peace plan. It was a blackmail trying to grab Ukrainian land, but whatever. And in order to stop the bloodshed, he offered to keep Ukrainians to give up on a great deal of its territory that is controlled by Russian army right now. Okay, that's impossible. Okay, but the thing is, that's a different story. What was unique about this peace plan this time is that at the very end, he added one thing. He said that, and, to do this, this, and this, to give Russia this land, and to lift all economic sanctions unconditionally, once and for all. Never happened before. Before Vladimir Putin was always bragged about, how Russia has withstood all the sanctions. Russia is doing magnificent. Russian economy is strong, the strongest ever. Sanctions actually have been good for Russia because, they strengthened, they gave us motivation to grow and so forth, Not this time. Please, lift all economic sanctions. Again, that's coming from Putin, or just came from Putin. And now I'd like to give you more details about what Dmitry Medvedev said. Our most favorite character, Dmitry Medvedev. I'm not going to tell you, I'm just going to quote Medvedev. Here are the new American sanctions. There will be new European sanctions soon, and he obviously said that right after the Americans have placed their sanctions onto Russia. So it is necessary to react to them? It doesn't seem to be. Their number is already measured in tens of thousands. We have learned to live with the sanctions and grow with them. But on the other hand, it is necessary to react. Not only to react to the authorities, to the state, the countries, to the states, but also to all our people in general. All our people must react. It is necessary to react to the sanctions to all of those who love our homeland, Russia. After all, they, the United States, and their fudging allies, and he didn't say that, I'm trying to soften it up, declared war on us without rules. How to react to the sanctions? I have already said this once, but it's worth repeating. We must try every day to inflict maximum harm to those countries that have imposed their restrictions on our country and on all our citizens. Harm is in everything that can be harmed. Harm their economies, their institutions, and their rulers. Harm to the well-being of their citizens, their confidence in the future. To do that, to harm, we must continue to look for the critical vulnerabilities of their economies and hit them in all areas, to cause damage in all places, paralyzing the work of their companies and government agencies, to find problems in the most important technologies and mercilessly strike at them, literally destroy their energy, industry, transportation, banking, and social services, to instill fear of the imminent collapse of the entire critical infrastructure. Are they afraid of us handing over our weapons to the enemies of the Western world? It is necessary to transfer to them all possible types of weapons, except nuclear, but not for now, but only for now. Are they afraid of anarchy and an explosion of crime in their big cities? It is necessary to help in the disorganization of their municipal government. Are they afraid of war in space? So they'll get that war in space too. Let everything of theirs to stop. Let everything of theirs to spoil. Let everything of theirs go to hell. Are they afraid of social explosions? Let's set them up. It is necessary to inject into their media sphere all the most sinister night terrors, to use all their terrible phantom pains. No need to spare the psyche anymore. Let them shiver in their cozy homes. Let them shake under the blankets. Are they yelling about our use of fake news? Let's turn their lives into a continuous crazy nightmare in which they will not be able to distinguish wild fiction from the realities of their days, infernal evil from the routine of life. And no rules for the enemy. Let them get everything in full for harming Russia, and let's do it as soon as possible. Whew. I unquote. Everyone who wants to see that, you can go to Telegram channel of Dmitry Medvedev, and it's very easy to translate it into English. Well, I basically copied and pasted, right here in front of my eyes. I just read it to you. Out of all crazy things came out of Dmitry Medvedev. This is by far the craziest, the scariest. This is one of the top Russian rulers, I'll remind you. These guys, I don't know how much business he means, but he is the deputy head of the Security Council of Russian Federation. He is not too far from Vladimir Putin in command, okay? And then what he said was absolutely atrocious. I am personally ashamed. I'm even ashamed to read it to you, because that's aimed at you, okay? Your cities, your lives, your families, your kids, your countries. But anyway, that's the hard reality of Russian life today. There's nothing I can do about it. Well, the sanctions do not change regimes. There has been one example in the history of the world when economic sanctions did change the regime. And that was South Africa some time ago. What sanctions do is they weaken the regimes, especially if the regimes wage wars. The sanctions that have been placed upon Russia, all of them, all these 14 packages from the European Union, all the sanctions from Americans, they will not directly lead to the change of the regime, to the destruction of the vertical power. But what they will do, in my opinion, they will weaken the foundation that this vertical of power, this current Russian political system is standing upon. It'll weaken Russia. It'll strip Russian rulers of resources. So they will have less resources to use to build their war economy. Therefore, the military-industrial complex will be much weaker. The army will be weaker, and they won't be able to do anything in Ukraine, only to defend themselves. I believe that the sanctions will strip the regime of the resources to pay the siloviki, to pay the people, and that, in turn, will lead into social unrest, into Russia shaking, into people being very unhappy, and that can lead to the change of the regime. We have seen that happen before, the USSR. Okay, the economic sanctions, the economic destruction of the economy was not the direct reason that the USSR fell apart, but the ruling clique, whatever, gang, they couldn't rule in the way they had been doing it. So they decided to drastically change things, and they couldn't do that. And that led to the regime. And I think that Russia starts following the same footsteps of the USSR. But Russia still has a long way to go. Russia is in so much better situation financially now. But I still think that we are seeing the beginning of the end. The economic tsunami is not around the corner anymore. It's finally here. It's in Russia and it's flooding the country. And this will lead to changes. Thank you so very much. This has been my message today. I would like to invite everyone to share your opinions. Let me know what you think. Thank you. I'm going to turn the live stream chat on, and howdy. Let me remind you two things. First is Inside Russia is the best community on YouTube, and it has absolutely best moderators, the moderation team consisting Lorna, Mami, Harry Potman, Bob S., Amir, and Dirk. If you want me to see your question or comment easier, please put it in all caps or put Inside Russia after that sign so it appears highlighted in a large orange box. It's actually, it would be great if you do both highlighted and in caps. So, howdy friends, howdy the usual suspects. So what do you think? Leitmotiv for me, Harry. Oh, did I mention Harry? Harry, I'm sorry. Lorna, Mami K, Harry Potman, Bob S., Amir Fazat, and Dirk. Too much talking, you know. Mac, sponsor for 11 months, Putin's peace plan. Putin doesn't have a plan. He had a plan, but he made a huge mistake 2 years ago, and his plan didn't work out. And now he's just, he doesn't think strategy, he thinks tactics. He tries to hang on to power for as long as possible. Howdy Sam, howdy everyone. Santi Pierto, and what does the moderating team? Not sure what you mean. Mark Bramlett, good to see you, friend. Long time no see. Animal lover, okay. North Florida, I think it's Jacksonville, right? Michael Silberg, thank you so much. How do you interpret Indian PM visit to Moscow? Well, I need to study it more, but right off my head, I would say that that visit is to get better price for oil and probably to negotiate some kind of conditions with Russia, okay? Because that's all India cares. India is not a friend of Russia. Robert Harris, thank you so much. Liz Mailer, good to see you. Jeffrey, Mr. Humor, howdy friend. Terry, thank you so much. You always have great words for me. Thank you, Terry. Much, much appreciated. Harry, okay. Put myself. Oh, of course, it's not flying plane. Okay, it's not nearly as stressful and important and all of that. But still, I was preparing the stream for like 6 hours, and then I was speaking for 45 minutes, 44 minutes straight. Okay, and after that, I try to switch and I try to mention everyone and not to miss everyone, and sometimes I fail at that because it's not difficult. It's just so much inside head. So I thought I missed you. I apologize. Well, it's a good thing that I didn't. Amir, thank you for sponsoring 5 people. Thank you, friend. Lorraine Prasnovsky here, a pillar of the pillars of Inside Russia. Lorraine, for how long have you been the member of Inside Russia? Let me just see. It's like 29 months, something like that. YouTube doesn't show me. Friend, I'm afraid to mispronounce your name. Cercenay, thank you so much. Thank you. And it's now the 3rd summer war. It's unbelievable. I know. Still wake up every day hoping for one thing. Peace makes 2 of us, and I think makes millions of us. Definitely makes all of us who pray together every day. So thank you so much. Mac, are the foreign workers from east of Russia not only paid to work, but also be held responsible for all the mistakes and get the anger of the proud Russians? Well, that happens often, yes. I can't say that Russia is a modeling society, not modeling, model society for treating everyone equal. Let's put it this way. I'm trying to put it as mildly as I can, okay? So in general, you're right. There's quite a bit of discrimination usually happens. Because I think what you meant is to say is the discrimination. Deborah, do you know what significant products the US and other countries are still important from Russia? Aluminum, steel, other. No, steel is not imported, exported by Russia. There's actually all warehouses of steel factories, steel mills are packed. They probably sell, but to the east, to the Asian countries, and not nearly in the amounts of they used to sell. Aluminum that has been placed under sanctions, I believe. The USA was buying uranium, enriched uranium, was it, or just uranium? But then the Senate or the president, the Senate, I don't know, the American politicians have passed a law that stops or bans buying uranium from Russia. So honestly, I don't know what significant products the US buys from Russia. Well, Russia still sells natural gas to European Union, liquefied gas, and there's gas going through the pipeline that exists in Ukraine. Believe it or not, the country's in the state of war, but they're still trading gas. Okay, the Ukraine guarantees the transit of gas. Oil obviously is sold by Russians, but not at huge profit, not with big margins. That's pretty much all I know. Helium was being sold to European Union. That's actually quite large export product, but then they placed it under sanctions. They banned it. So Sam the Legend K, thank you. Konstantin, you're not English enough. Have some more English propaganda juice on me. Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. Sam, send in your proper English thank you. Cool story, bro. You think Putin wishes he could go back in time and call it a day? I don't know if he wishes or not, but if he could, I believe he would jump on the opportunity and he would not invade Ukraine because he's fudged everything up for himself in the first place. XXX, the Bank of China has suspended operations with Russian lenders sanctioned by the United States in order to avoid being hit with secondary sanctions. Well, all I can say is you know your Russian stuff, because this news just appeared today, I believe, and I saw it not just in Kommersant, but in other sources as well. So that is true. I have not fact-checked it, but I'm making this assumption that it's true because I've seen different sources talking about that. And this is what I'm talking about in the stream. Dude, this is it. Okay? The Chinese, they're afraid to be placed under American sanctions. And Russian trade is this much, American trade is this much. Why would they risk their American trade? Why would they risk everything for trading this much with Russia? Doesn't make any sense. Rowan, Dnipro, Ukraine. Friend, please forgive us for what Russia is doing to you. My sincere apologies. I don't know, whatever it's worth, but, you know. Do you think Russians will ever realize what they have done here in Ukraine? That's one of the biggest questions that I'm asking myself and others now. And it's a fundamental question, okay? You see, the biggest problem is if they realize and admit. To realize is not enough. What's the most important? They must admit and they must repent and they must pay the price for that. This is the key component, okay? And once they admit, you know, it hurts. You know, you don't feel well about yourself, about your country, and you feel like your ground kind of like, you know, takes off from under your feet. This is how I felt when I realized. That hurts. And to go through that pain, it takes a lot. And you know what? Honestly, I don't think that most Russians are willing to do that. At least at this point. It's much easier to hide your hand in the sand and say, well, it doesn't concern me. Oh, I didn't make this decision. Oh, you know what? I'm just a small little guy and I don't know what's going on there. I don't even want to inform myself. I don't know anything about it and I don't want to know. And guess what? That's what most Russians are doing right now. And this is shameful, really, because not only they're destroying Ukraine, not only they're killing people, they're justifying it because they just don't want to be, well, not feeling comfortable, you know what I mean? So I hope I answered your question. I hope. I hope you all folks all stay safe there. I don't know what else to say. Linda, okay, understood. I got your prayer request. Hang on 1 second. Missed a few super chats. Caesars, good to see you. From Prague. Yes, I remember, I know. I was thinking the Russian state companies must have signed a lot of future contracts prior to the war. Are they being nullified, written off? Which companies are you talking about? What businesses? Exporting companies that export something, that produce something. Everything has changed. Everything's been nullified. There's lowliness there. Like courts don't work, you know. Properties are being stolen. 770 companies are on the list to be, they call it to re-privatized, meaning they privatized them back in 1992, but now they're saying, oh, you know what? 32 years ago, the government made a mistake. They didn't privatize it right, and so therefore you're not the rightful owner. So we're taking the company back from you. I say, well, I bought this company in 2009. Well, it doesn't matter. This company was wrongly privatized back in 1990. These things are happening. There's 770 companies like that in Russia are being, the KGB and all in power like vultures. You know, they're trying to tear everything apart for themselves, get the piece of the pie, you know. They use this situation to enrich themselves. Well, you know what? God, He's seeing everything. So, I don't know. If you want to specify what exactly you meant. Jodes Rames, thank you for sponsoring 5 people. Michael, thank you so much. Michael Silberg. Couple questions. Thank you for the heartwarming words. Is Medvedev simply saying out loud the long-held position of Kremlin? Alcoholic truth? No one knows. I don't know. There are quite a few opinions on that. Some say that he writes it himself when he gets sober. Some say that he doesn't even know that he exists in Telegram or Twitter or whatever. KGB is trying to destroy his reputation. Their reason is that he was trying to go for the second term against Putin, and Putin is paying him back like this. So there are many rumors. I don't know. The truth fact is that he signs his name underneath it. You know what I mean? That's official. So that's what it is. C. Collins, thank you so much. Do you think that there are Putin doubles? Oh, I don't think. There's been so much research done on that by different media, by different foundations. I believe that he has doubles. Could some place like North Korea be fooled for? No, 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 no. No one can be fooled. The North Korean guy, Kim Jong-un, he's a very smart guy. He was educated not in North Korea, but at age 10, he was brought to Switzerland. He had very good Swiss teachers, and he's smart. Okay, he just inherited his power. He inherited his throne, everything. But he's not dumb. So no one is dumb. A Putin double cannot fool anyone. Ask the president of Turkey, Recep Erdogan, why isn't he meeting Vladimir Putin recently? Okay, I'm probably gonna do a live stream on that tomorrow. But that could be one of the reasons, okay? Because you just can't fool. Lise Dombrell, howdy, howdy. Welcome to Inside Russia. I don't know, you've been the sponsor, I think, for a long time, no? Well, you were the pillar of Inside Russia anyway. Mikstas, thank you so much for coming from Lithuania. Every time I see someone from the Baltics, from Poland, from Czech, warms my heart. Thank you for coming, friend. Mikolas, send in my love to Lithuania. I have relatives there, distant relatives. They were sent by Stalin either before war or after war to Lithuania. And then they stayed there in Klaipėda. I visited Klaipėda in 1988. I remember a little bit of the city. Wonderful place. Loved it. How you and your big family doing? God bless you. Thank you so much. I'm doing good. I can't complain. I'm doing much better as if I was in Russia right now. Okay, so I'd say fantastic. The only problem I'm have is I've gained weight and I'm trying to lose it. Other than that, everything's... Can't complain. Thank you. Thanks for your attention. Carson Larimore, howdy. Can we really see an uprising of decent of the people? It doesn't affect Moscow and St. Petersburg? No, not at this point. I don't believe an uprising happening anytime soon under regular circumstances. Now, if circumstances change, for example, there's another mutiny, oh yeah, then you can see the uprising. Or there's another social eruption of some kind. Like, yes, you might see uprising, but not at this point, not at the current circumstances. Jay Spike, thank you so much for coming. Good to see you. Saying hello, wishing well for all. Let me know about the prayer list. I took you off. I haven't seen you for quite some time. Do you want us to keep on praying for you or not? One of those streams where I'm fired up. What the fudge? Artificial intelligence just started giving me short summary of my own stream. Interesting. All right, Caesar's futures contract is a legal agreement to buy or sell a particular commodity. All right, so we're talking about commodities and we're talking about futures contracts. Understood. At a predetermined, I know quite well what futures are, future contracts are. The seller is taking on obligation to provide delivery expiration date. Well, first of all, the buyers in Europe, in the United States, cannot fulfill the contracts. They cannot buy due to quite a few sellers have been placed under US or European sanctions, okay? Oil. Well, I think they still sell oil, but that's again, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm improvising here. They're definitely selling. They're fulfilling the contracts. Okay, it's in Russia's interest to sell as much as possible. But I think that the price that they're selling at is different due to force majeure. Okay, and that's every contract has a clause called force majeure. Well, you know that. And I think that according to force majeure, at least if I was buying Russian oil, I would definitely press for force majeure or something like that. So, and I think it's decided between each seller and buyer, if you know what I mean. So that's my best bet. Thank you so much. Christian, thank you for sponsoring one person. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mac, thank you so much from Switzerland. What do you think about Russian children spending their vacations in North Korea and North Korean children in Russia? What can I say, friend? I think that my country has gone mad. I think that even a few years ago, if somebody told anyone in Russia that Russian children would be going to North Korea for vacation, summer camps, I think that Russians would look at that person as absolutely insane, and if the person would be serious, they would start fighting him. Okay, that's what I think. And now it's a reality. Russian children are sent to North Korea to summer camps. I don't really know what to say. I think I have the same feelings as you are having right now. I'm puzzled. I'm ashamed. I'm shocked. I'm still shocked. Again, I don't think that I'm over everything. No. Especially I keep on reading news and they just get crazier and crazier every single day. So I don't know what to tell you. It's insane. It's like reading Brave New World and Animal Farm and 1984 combined on steroids. Okay, that's what it feels like. Sanity. Santi Pierto. Thank you so much, friend. Buy yourself an espresso and a donut. Certainly don't need a donut. Espresso. Tomorrow morning I'll buy a cappuccino courtesy of you. Thank you so much. Who? So getting some more English propaganda juice from Sam K. Airborne Snail. Thank you so much. From Switzerland. From Sweden, of course. VJ John, howdy. Sir Senaye. Thank you again. Lorraine Prasnowski. Amir, Mac. Ron Klotzer from Mojave Desert. Howdy, friend. Sorry, haven't been around. Hurting bad. Not that I don't remember. Do we? Okay, so I'll pray for you. Good to see you. I'm sorry to hear that you're hurting bad. Klotzer. Very sorry to hear. We'll keep on praying. If I were in Russia, one thing I gotta tell you folks, if I were in Russia right now, still in Russia, still living in Russia, still doing, somehow I'd still be alive, if I was alive at this point. If I was free, not in prison, what I would do, I would fly to North Korea as a tourist and I would film there. That's definitely a destination. I've been to Cuba, and I've seen the misery of Cubans and how miserable the country is, but I haven't been to North Korea. So Cuba reminded me of the USSR at its worst. I remember, I went with a few Russian friends, and we kept telling everyone, each other, it's like going in a time machine 40 years back, and that's exactly how it felt like. Empty stores, people just so poor. Uh, but visiting North Korea would be interesting. Liz, fantastic news. Thank you so much for letting us know. Amen. Just beat the cancer for the fourth time. Please stay healthy from now on. Um, Patty, do you know how many Russians fled the country last month? No, I don't. I do not possess this information. No one knows. You see, how you can approximately say is you get different numbers from different sources. You get different number. The KGB posts statistics. The Russian Ministry of Labor posts the shortages of labor force. Now, Russian Vice Prime Minister has jumped on the train, complaining about the shortage of people and so forth. And then you just take all the numbers and you combine them, and this is where you get your estimation. So my best estimation right now, 3 million have left since 2022, beginning of the war. But I cannot tell you, definitely can't tell you about last month. I know people keep on coming here to Tashkent. A different kind of crowd, different kind of people. They're prepared, much more prepared than us. We were just leaving everything behind and running. These people, they come, families, not just men, but families. They sell everything in Russia. They slowly uproot themselves. They say goodbye to everyone. They have plenty of time. They prepare ground here in Uzbekistan, in other countries, and then they make a move. Okay, so, and then people keep on coming. Deborah, a recent North Korean director, was the son of defector, was the son of a government official, yet had intestinal worms. If wealthy North Koreans are poorly treated, do you really think North Korea would ever enlist their people? Deborah, one misconception: there are no wealthy North Koreans. They have hierarchy of the society, and then they are all similarly poor. Okay, it's just like the USSR. The higher you stand on the ladder of the power, the more access you have to different things like personal car or a better apartment or a little better healthcare or little more food, things like that. And as far as I understand, in Korea, even if you're like up high, you have to be on the very top, underneath the leader, in order to be, to have some kind of luxuries. Okay, I think everyone else is just like in this example. Everyone else lives with intestinal worms. They don't even have doctors or equipment to diagnose that. Sow it and hope it grows. Yes, please, please. Steph, when was the moment Russia took the wrong turn to become Russia? Russia, I don't know. It probably took the wrong turn. I would say in perhaps 96, 97, perhaps earlier, perhaps 93. That's open for discussion. There's plenty of opinions about that, and to be honest with you, there are pros and cons for different times, and I've been thinking about that. Alberto Perez, howdy friend. Do you think how Russia is finally entering its imploding and change of government? No more war in Ukraine? Really hope so. I really hope so. Russia is not entering. It has entered already. We are seeing the demise, the implosion. The change of government, do not expect it to happen due to this economic implosion. But it might happen due to other reasons. For example, ЧВК Wagner, private army Wagner mutiny a year ago. That was a great opportunity for the government to change, okay? And opportunities like that are coming. I'm pretty sure they're coming. Frank in Texas, fantastic to see you. Thank you for sponsoring 5 people. Thank you, friend. Good to see you. Alaska Cap, my 70-year-old father-in-law is leaving Mariupol to live with us in Alaska. Why are the Russians making him get across? He still has a valid Ukrainian. Friend, don't ask me. I have a few people, friends, very close friends, who are living here, and they ran from Mariupol, and it's a tragedy. I cannot answer that. Please forgive us. That's the best I can answer you this. Tough question, by the way. And yes, I know how people get to and out of Mariupol. I've heard. Night boat is signaling. Lorna, time is up. Okay. 2 questions and we're praying. Christian Kruse from Denmark. Howdy, howdy. Ho ho, the Russian people are starting to feel this with the sanctions properly. There are any reactions, or will there be? Was just talking about it on the weekend. I called to Russia. That's my big days of calling to Russia. Trust me, everyone is feeling that. Oh, they feeling the heat. They go to stores and they see their food, boo, you know, and a lot of them start wondering, oh, what the hell is going on? Well, you know, a regular jeans sold in Russia. There's a company called Gloria Jeans from Rostov. Used to sell its jeans, you know, just very basic stuff for 2,500 rubles, which was more or less affordable. Now, 5,500 rubles. That's just, I'm telling you, the real prices in the stores. 55, more than twice. Okay, if you want to buy Levi's, if you want to buy some kind of American jeans, prepare to pay from $100 to $150. Okay. But, you know, you still can't buy them. You know, there's people in Russia, they say, look, everything is on sale. We have plenty of everything. There's food on the shelves, and stores are stocked with stuff. Go and buy Levi's, okay? Go and try to buy. Try to afford it on a regular Russian salary. If you make 35,000 rubles per month, if you don't live in Moscow or St. Petersburg, that's a decent salary. 35, 40, even 50. Well, try to spend 15,000 out of 50,000 that you make every month for jeans. Buy 3 Levi's jeans and that's it. And you have nothing to eat for the rest of the month, you know. So they are feeling the heat. But A lot of them are still supporting Putin. One of those mysteries to me. All right. Friends, thank you so very much for this day, for this message. This is my honor and my pleasure of talking to you and answering your questions and giving you this message, sharing my opinions with you. Thank you. Let me know what you think down below in the comments when I finish the stream. And I would like to invite everyone to pray along with me. Let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so very much for giving us this day. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Thank you for putting food on our tables. And thank you for giving shelters and roofs above our heads. Thank you so we are not sick and not hungry. Dear Lord, please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and safe. Give us wisdom to raise our children so they grow up good adults and make this world a better place and love each other and never fight in any war. For now, please keep our children healthy and safe as they're our world and our life. Dear Lord, please help Ukraine stop the bloodshed that is happening in the country right now. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those in Russia who are capable to make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Remind them that they're still human beings and there's still love in their hearts. Perhaps even a little, but there still should be love because there are no people in this world without love. So please wake them up, remind them that they're still human beings so they make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected, answer the prayers and make the wishes come true. Dear Lord, please help my country, Russia, who have been hijacked by a bunch of no-good demons who we know by their names and by their faces. Please assemble your strongest army, consisting of strongest angels with sharpest swords led by Saint Michael, and send them to get rid of all the demons. Have angels come down and help Russians, good Russians, run the country. Make it peaceful, loving, and respecting. Please help all those who are traveling, send them safe travels. Help those who are in danger in high waters right now, send them safety. Help those Ukrainians who are currently under attacks from Russian missiles and send them safety. God bless those who are helping Ukrainians. Please help single mothers who are struggling, raising their children, trying to make ends meet. Help those who are seeking asylum of any kind, and help those who are fallen into depression. Please help those who are hungry, sick, addicted, homeless, jobless, betrayed, crying, have tears in their eyes, hurting, have pain in their hearts, depressed, not feeling well about themselves, and feeling crushed. Please help everyone in need. Fill everyone's heart with love and surround them with your warmth. Let everyone in need know that you are with them. You have not abandoned them. You are watching every step. You are still loving them. Help everyone in need, dear Lord. Thank you so much for allowing us to pray together every day. Please, thank you for everyone who is praying along or simply watching us pray. Thank you. Please make everyone's wish come true and answer everyone's prayer. I have a few people I would like to ask you to for help for them. They are Ann Larson and her daughter Hannah, Jeffrey S. and his family, Alex from Albuquerque, Mark Rutan, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Frank in Texas, Gabing with Gary, Jorgen, Lisa Cumrian, Harry Potnan, Terry Carter, John McLean, Linda Trombley, Paula W., Dennis, Jason Carney, Susie Mailer, Tim Mayers, Dory, Rhonda McGillis, John, Taylor, Wayne, Dave, Don, Darla, George Ruberty, Pamela J., Meta Spencer, David Porter, his family and everyone in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Life, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Elena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Linda, Ron Klotzer, and Liz Dumbrell. Thank you so very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends. It's been a good stream. Thank you. I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you for coming, giving me a chance. Please tune in tomorrow. I have a couple of ideas. I might be talking about Turkey and the current turn of Turkey away from Russia towards the West and the United States. Why and how it's happening. Perhaps a couple other topics. So please come back tomorrow. It'll be interesting, I promise. And I would like to remind you that you are absolutely awesome and you rock. And before I sign off, as usual, I am asking everyone to join me and say out loud, Carthago delende est.